Hold tight, move slow. Get your mindset ready for me to show.
Astro Souls, welcome to my Stone Astrology Sidereal Astrology page. My name's Jessie, and here's some insights for you into this Mars retrograde. So we started on the 5th of December. It went back through Cancer. Themes for you around home, inner world, emotional healing. And this is something that I've been reflecting on with Mars being the god of war, Mars also being a pain point in the chart. It's a place we look to for conflict, physical, mental, emotional inflammations. This is obviously in its shadow, accidents, stress. There are some dark sides of Mars, especially when we look at old mythology and old literature. He is the god of divine masculine, god of war that goes on to the battlefield and fights for what he wants. So, in its light expression, drive, motivation, ambition, and in 2025, with all of the access that we have to material luxury, Mars also rules our exercise. And you can download my free exercise chart. Kira Sutherland, who's an amazing health astrologer, talks a lot about, and I'm pretty sure it was her that coined that specific technique where we work with Mars and the elemental forces to explore how we like to exercise in your style. It's a fun technique. It's fun to explore. So Mars in 2025, we need Mars. Mars rules oxygen, energy levels. It's all of your iron-rich crystals. And so there's an energizing force that Mars brings, and often, not always, there is some type of action, or our drive and action in life is towards our career or how we make a living or whatever is your mission or your purpose is more the sun, but we need Mars there to help us drive forward and move forward with it. So when Mars is in retrograde, this part of the collective energy in your chart, where Mars is retrograding through your chart and just your Mars, however you embody Mars, it just goes a bit slower, pulls back. This can often play out in career because many of us do put action towards our careers. However, whatever you put action towards in your life daily, generally, if you want to look at it astrologically, your natal Mars by sign, your natal Mars by house, it's gonna reveal to you what area of your life may be more triggered and affected, and obviously wherever transiting Mars is for you. So transiting Mars, whereas Cancer in your natal chart, and whereas Gemini, and we've just moved into 9th of January, we just moved into Mars, going now back through Gemini. So let's stay with Cancer for now. I feel that this god of war, I've taken you on a big Piscean description. The god of war that creates wounds, and Mars can. I actually feel the retrograde, Mars retrograde, is actually an amazing time for wound healing, regardless of whatever sign it's in. And that might sound a bit ironic, especially as it can be a time where things get stressful. Things aren't actually just flowing as the way we want them to, or not moving as fast as we want them to, or Mars-like characters come back. I've actually had positive Mars energies come back. I actually bumped into an old friend who used to be music manager of mine, and he's a really motivating, energizing guy. He was part of my, I guess you would say, career. Definitely a friend, and it was kind of work friend, but this time it kind of really rekindled the friendship, and it was really just an inspiring energy of Mars retrograde coming back. And I actually also had Jupiter return at that point. However, there are Mars-like characters that can come in. So I had a client who's, right now in a lawsuit, I'm pretty sure, with her old as an employee of her old boss. So there are some warlike situations that can come up. However, it can be an amazing time for wound healing because as Mars goes back, it reminds itself, and we get reminded of the need to rest, of the need to reevaluate, of the need to go back over old projects, of the need to reassess how we resolve conflict. I'm having like a really deep conversation with my ex coming up, and it's been on the cards for a while. This is happening as Mars retrograde is moving into communication sign of Gemini. The whole of Mars retrograde through Cancer, I was dealing a lot with the emotional healing around that, and now I get a chance to, have those kind final words. So even though, yes, Mars retrograde can bring up stress, can bring up pain, can bring up old wounds to be healed, I do feel that especially in Cancer would be related to to memories, ancestral memories, family roots, home improvements, anything to do with the home environment could have been stressful. And then again, obviously look at the house where it is for you. And then going through Gemini, the beneficial way to work with this retrograde is to go into your projects and work out the fine details. Bring all of the information that you've been developing, that you've been growing, that you've been putting action towards in your life, in your career, in your projects, in whatever is being important to you. How have you been putting action in your life? Is it your online courses that are interested in you? Is it are you building some type of a community school? Have you got a new job or a new initiative that you've been working on? Have your family just moved house and you've been renovating? Doesn't matter, whatever you've been putting action consistently towards over the last, say, 4 months or the last 6 months, now is the time where you're gonna go back and do the final part of that, reassess it, reevaluate it. For example, I was doing some improvements on my house. I'm back. I'm tying up those loose ends. So, and this can be showing up in any area of your life. And obviously, this is where you're going to look at your chart and look at the unique parts of your chart and get familiar with the house, where Cancer is, where Gemini is. And look, I haven't got this retrograde moving through my fourth house, but there's a collective feel of Mars retrogrades. I have my natal Mars in Taurus, which rules material things, material security, it rules houses, it rules assets. So there is that playing out for me. And the planets do play out multidimensionally. I've got, you know, Fire X playing out for me. There are themes that will play out almost simultaneously, and this is where we really got to feel into and sense into what areas of our lives is this really triggering, accenting, and you do that by not only the transit to your chart, but how you embody the natal planet. So for me, Taurian themes and Cancer rules a home, Gemini rules communication, the mind, social life. So, these sorts of wounds may be coming up for people, pain points, and an option to heal those, an option as Mars goes back now through Gemini to really get into the finer details. Remember, Gemini is opposite Sagittarius. Sagittarius is big visions, travel, the deeper meaning in life, philosophies, expansion. Gemini, small talk, bringing the fine details into a conclusion, into synchronicity, and there's kind of a flirtiness of fun, playfulness around Gemini. There's a curiosity around Gemini. So Gemini's work is always really commitment and but it has this easygoing energy towards. It's all about the immediate environment, study, learning. And I really sense with Mars retrograde being the planet of action, motivation, drive, if this is towards your solo business or whether it's within family or communication, personal things that are coming up for you, or even just around your physical body. Gemini rules the nervous system. Rest, reevaluate, settle in, do the fine details, get logical, get reasonable, and communicate with patience. Take time to go over what's been written, take time to go over what's been, said, have a new way of seeing things, take action in a new way. Right now, it's not about necessarily taking action towards new things, but reassessing the way that you take action especially in the way that you communicate, especially in the way that you think, especially in the way that you resolve conflicts, whether it's in your work, whether it's in your relationships. Although we look to the mind for thought processes and communication, Mercury rules Gemini, and Gemini is the sign that rules communication, study, thought processes, mental activity. So as Mars goes retrograde through this sign, things might come to the surface and there might be a sense of restlessness. It's just about easing into that and going, you know what? Everything's got its divine timing, and trying not, not allowing healthy anger and expressing it through different healthy ways, exercise or breath work, or feeling any anger or stress that comes up, observing it and then letting it go. It's not just about repressing anything that comes up for you, but also observing where the mind goes and not allowing the mind to go down a rabbit hole. Bring yourself out of the mental energy and really do different types of embodiment practices to let that stress go. Yoga, deep breathing, triggering your parasympathetic nervous system, especially if you're feeling your cortisol levels rise. Take a break from coffee, and even just simple deep breaths trigger the parasympathetic. Yoga is different to the adrenaline rush or endorphin release that we get through weight training or exercise. Yoga actually triggers that rest and restore system in our body. So I would definitely say it's my top. If you're not into yoga, just do some free flow movement and breathe in connection with the body and the breath. I'm actually also a yoga teacher. I know this page is primarily focused on astrology, but with planetary embodiment, I am going to be weaving in more yoga focused practices, not as a main part of this page, but for those that are interested in having more embodied experience, connecting with the planets, movement, and weaving physical practice in.